Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball, I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They gon' knock him, tell him fess up, I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless, yeah, I got next up, right, now we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride, you do better keeping it quiet, my pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened, I like who I am, but I'm biased, the palette is right, and my drip is a fountain, I'm not like these regular guys, all of that talk is misguided, she like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim. I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch. The label cut the check like the bladesman. Something sparking where his brain is. The beat is somewhere where their prayers in. Geronimo, the way I make the bass jump when no parachute is tasted.
What is going on? Throwing hands. What's up, everybody? We're here on another episode with my co-host Josh. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm doing a lot better. I was under the weather and gone for a minute, but now I'm back.
I know those
like a
those
new
crazy,
man.
You got super sick.
Did, man. I was tore up.
Yeah, I feel that. My kid got sick this weekend, and then I ended up getting sick for a couple of days too.
Yeah, it's that time of year. That weather change, man. Something about it. Yeah, but we have a good show today. Before we do, where are we sitting at? Let's do the weight.
Oh, on my weight?
Yeah, what are we sitting at?
So because I haven't been into the gym like 4 days because I've been taking care of my kid. So I think last time I weighed myself, I'm probably about like 165, 166 because I messed up on the dehydration process. So now I'm kind of just figuring out trial and error, which is kind of why I wanted to do it, to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, kind of figure out your body more. You get more in tune with yourself.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. I'm going to put myself through Hell Week this week. So I plan on doing a lot more intense training, especially on the bike too. Now that I got a sauna, hell yeah, I'm going to tap on that. You know, I've already made this much commitment to hit 155. I got to see it through.
Yeah, no, at this point, you're right. You're right around the corner from the finish line. So you got to see it through. But yeah, so our special guest today, we have CJ Pitman on, talk a little RUF. We just heard RUF 51, I believe. Was it December 10th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
December
announced 10th? For December 10th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So we'll probably get into that, probably recap a little RUF. 50 as well. So I guess we can go ahead and bring him on right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's bring him on.
CJ.
What's up,
What
man?
is up? What is up?
How you doing?
Hell yeah. Yes, sir. So for people that don't know who CJ Pitman is, he is one of the partners of RUF Nation. He's the man. He's been hustling on all these events, and just recently we got done with RUF 50. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. October 22nd. It's been just a little over a week now. We did RUF 50 here at the Celebrity Theater. And man, I'll tell you what, I had so much fun. And I'm still amped and I'm juiced and I'm ready to go for the next one.
Right.
Hell yeah.
No, RUF 50 it's always an event. You guys always put on a great show. RUF 50 was one for the numbers too. I mean, it didn't disappoint. The bouts were great. Amazing fighters. Getting into that. How did you even get into this? How did RUF even come about with
it? Well, RUF is Arizona's longest running MMA promotion. And that was Dr. Joel and Adrian, his cousin, who you guys don't really see unless you're behind the scenes and in the back. Or I guess we sing happy birthday to him in the cage. But other than that, they had started this a long time ago. They are like the OGs of promoting in Arizona. They've been doing this for, going on 20 years now. And they had just started picking up and doing more shows, and we weren't real familiar with them here in the Valley. And at this time, I was just a guy. I ran my pawn shop in Maricopa. I had a professional fighter who worked for me full time. Had first come in as a customer and started chopping it up. And he's like, "Hey, check out my YouTube videos and this and that." And I was like, "Okay." And turned out he was a real up and coming superstar and a really good guy. He doesn't fight anymore, but Joel had come to town and set up a thing to go to the Ak-Chin Indian community and host his first RUF MMA in Pinal County in the city of Maricopa, or just outside at the Ak-Chin Circle.
Okay.
My fighter was going to, or Dale was going to headline that card, and so Joel had come down to the shop and did a little video interview. I mean, this was still like iPhone S. And so he did a little video, at the pawn shop, and we started chopping it up. Long story short, my fighter didn't end up getting to fight on that card. But I ended up being the first cash sponsor for RUF. And I was able to still be a part of the event at the Ak-Chin Circle and just it's access for me. Like, I wanted to sit next to Dr. Lopez, and like, he had the best seat in the house. I like being in the back with the fighters and doing all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember Norma, she's still with the Boxing and MMA Commission. She gave me my first ever cornerman license, and we look back now and it's been like a decade. So it's pretty cool to see. From there, I just, and Josh and I have had this conversation pretty often. I started picking up and just seeing, showing up and just helping. Like, I helped tear the cage down after that event. I mean, I'd had a few by that point, so was not as much help as I thought I was, but but anyway,
it's the thought that counts.
Right.
Support.
And these guys just couldn't shake me. Joel and Adrian, they couldn't get rid of me. So I went on my first out of town show with them to Twin Arrows, and we started unloading the cage. It's all great. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I'm out of town. I'm with the show. We're loading in the cage, and the center beam of the old cage used to be like a railroad track. And that thing fell off the thing and busted my toe open like a grape. Ooh. And then it's quite a bit of a drive if you've ever been to Twin Arrows. A little bit of a drive to the nearest hospital from there. So I spent the next couple hours going to get myself super glued and stitched back together. Came back, stayed on the property for the weekend, and I rode a scooter around. And now I covered more ground than anybody. And if you've seen us at these other shows, I'm like,
yeah, you run around nonstop.
I do not stop.
He's here,
so you give me a scooter, and it's just it's over. I could cover so much ground on a scooter. But so from then on, it was just like I would show up to help with the cage. I'd get to bring my family out to the shows. And, with my business, I had friends that did, had other businesses and things. So we started getting them all involved, which you still see and know them. Jab Media, Jab Fitness in Tempe. Brandon, he's been with us for 7 years, and TSI events. Even, one of my really good friends, Ruben Rivera, he's the one that introduced me to Brandon Spencer and Jab and all of that. And those guys have been huge support for us all the way up. And you see what TSI does for us nowadays. Back then it was, just, please, can I get some stickers to put on? So, I
promise it'll be worth it.
And I told them all, and they've seen what we've done, and they've been a huge part of it, but they've seen the work we've put in over those years. And, Brad and Mikey at TSI, they knock it out of the park, and they go above and beyond for us every single event. And I mean, you see, we get a brand new regulation mat. Like, that thing is amazing. It's non-slip, non-grip. I got people lining up outside the door. I must be making some noise in here. But I mean, just they make it, the entire show, they make it look beautiful and professional, and what you see on the cameras nowadays. And it just went from there, just one thing after the next. And Dr. Joel and Adrian have been, they kind of let the reins go a little bit. And that's where, I really like to do the outside of the box stuff. And they always call me the daydreamer and all of that. And it's like, I just kind of foresee what this is going to be, you know what I mean? And they're all out the window. I just kind of foresee. Sorry, I brought him food. He's like, I'm hungry. It's back there, dude.
No worries. But yeah, that's great though. The fact that you've been in RUF Nation, part of it for quite a while, and you kind of started from just like stepping in, helping out, and you worked your way up from there.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been what we could make it from that time on. It was there was never a huge budget. There was never anybody backing it financially. Like, this was something that we all like put our heads together, put our life savings and wallets together, and asked all our friends to help us, and join the party and come and hang out and enjoy the show. And that's not even getting to the fighter side of it, man. Like, the team is amazing. The team has grown so much. The things that they do, they come, they show up, and they put on this great show and give everybody a great experience. So I love my RUF team. I'm so thankful, because this definitely ain't a one-man job by any means. I may never sleep, but there's another 30 plus people that are constantly working and helping build and putting out content and spreading the word. And I mean, you guys see MMA Stalker, like they, I can't even say enough about those girls. They do so much amazing things for getting us. Because I mean, there was a time people couldn't see, unless you showed up to the show, you would never see what happened at RUF MMA.
Right.
I mean, we'd have a few pictures. We had, odds and ends photographers for a while there. And then we would have videos. Sometimes I wouldn't see it. We wouldn't see it, and forever. And so to now go from that and to the amount of content that we're putting out there, and the amount of fighters we're able to showcase, and the opportunities that we're giving for these guys. I mean, that's the fuel to the fire right there, right? And like seeing just hundreds of fights a year we did, so far since the pandemic. I think it was something like 189 matches last year. Like,
wow,
how insane is that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Most promotions in the country hadn't even come back to putting on a show yet. Right. And we put on hundreds of matches, it's exactly. Just a blessing. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and so with that, the fact that you've come so far with it to where you didn't even have any way for people to watch unless they're there in person. What's your take now, coming all the way down to RUF 50, where you have all these different elements now, and now you're even doing the pre-fight interviews like we've been doing with MMA Stalker?
Yes, sir. I mean, again, just adding these elements in, and proper preparation. Like, this isn't something that we're recreating every month now. This is something we're putting systems in place for, and we're duplicating that on a high level, and then that becomes repetitive, and you become better at it, just like training in the gym. The more you do it, the better you get. And again, the relationships with the sponsors and all the new sponsors that have come on board, like, these are no longer like, hey, come and sponsor my event and be a part of my event. This is like, listen, we're the future sports league for MMA and the premier promotion in Arizona. And instead of chasing and begging people to be a part of it like it used to be, now they're coming to us. They see the value that the show has, the amount of traction that we can get, the eyeballs. We've had great partners come on this year. Nova Home Loans, Jason, and the Mortgage Masters. They've been amazing. One sec. Oh, we're good. They've been amazing. The Glaze toe. I use that. I mean, I get these crazy Charlie horses after the shows because I just don't go. I go. I don't eat very well, and then get a little dehydrated. And about an hour after I fall asleep, I get these crazy Charlie horses like I'm a teenager again. And having the Glaze right there on the nightstand, I'm just like, wow, and I can actually go back to sleep, and it's been a godsend. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you'll be running around like you're a teenager on fight day.
Oh man, I know, and it's pure adrenaline. It's like I go on. Oh, what's up? What's part of the team, cut man. Exactly. It's pure adrenaline. I mean, just the energy that you feel inside of that room, and all the fight week leading up, and the excitement from everybody, the team, and all that. That is literally like jet fuel, and I could run around on that all day. Like,
so what's fight week like for CJ?
Oh man, it used to be a dreaded thing. It's become a lot more fun now. Again, back to the systems and the things that we've put into place. I mean, this time around was probably one of the first times ever that I was able to focus on what was going to happen and what people were going to see on the live stream side, like before showtime. You know, like we were able to actually, and it's getting everything to a certain point, you know, getting Jason to a point where fighter relations and everything is more automated and all that stuff. So he's able to have fun during fight week. This fight week was the most fun that Jason and I have had at so far. I can say that because it's only going to get more fun. I can't wait. But it is, I mean, it used to be a ton of stress and all this. And now, I mean, it's having things in place and we start to actually get to really promote it and really like, you know, tell people why they should come and see it. You know what I mean? Like, and get out there and make appearances and pick fighters up at the airport and get to do personal things for the fighters that will help them remember this experience that much more. You know, again, this is all about experience for everybody from our team and our staff to the spectators, to the fans, to the fighters and analysts. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, we want everyone to have a good experience, however they're involved in RUF. And it's getting more and more fun every time. That fight week is so much fun. And we get down, we have a weigh-ins on Friday right before. This time we had Arizona Family News here at Celebrity, you know, 7 a.m. the day of, which was really cool because then they were able to come in and kind of see it before it became our little Coliseum.
Yeah, and I saw Patrick was there with you too.
Oh man, yeah, and Patrick, he's been another guy, you know, sponsor-wise, that guy, he not only, you know, wants to be a part of the show, but he gets in the cage and fights people, you know, like, and he's all about the guns. And oh man, Patrick Boffman, you are one of my favorite dudes. And he comes up here, you know, comes into the venue and everybody just loves him. He's got a good, which is kind of funny because you look at him and you're like, you know, like he's fat-based, you know, I mean, but then again, just like most of these fighters, they're big-hearted people, and he's just an amazing dude. Yeah, we love all of you Havasu cats. Like, shout out to Bridge City. They came out of nowhere, 2022. Bridge City Combat. All these people from Bridge City. The Ray family. We got the Byers. We got, oh man, title holder Byers. Yeah, Trent Byers has the RUF 125-pound belt. Man, Lake Havasu City shows up.
Exactly. Havasu, we got to represent. And with that being said, too, with the RUF 50, you saw that now the next title matchup with Trenton is going to be between him and Brian Benavides. You guys had that all planned up to get that set up, right?
Oh, I mean, that 125 super competitive weight class. And so one like at an amateur level, I have a feeling and you're going to see a lot of people going after that title because there's a lot of people in contention that are all ranked very well. I mean, you don't see any 125ers with 5 losses, you know, that are still active. It's like these guys are going out there, they're advancing. For me, I'm not a huge fan of the weight cut so much. It's like a heart for animals kind of, you know what I mean? Like these savages, and then they come and they get all skinnied up and look like skeletons and stuff. I have a hard time. 125 pounds, like I have dogs that big, you know?
No, it is you're right for that part of it. And I mean, that's what Josh is going through right now. He's doing the weight cut just to know what it's like and
I heard the pre-show. It sounded like Josh was slacking off on his weight cut.
I know. That's why I'm gonna.
My wife's a health coach, man. I hear that stuff all the time. Like, oh, all this and that. Like,
he got to those last final 5 pounds. It was those final 5.
And I sat there and ate chicken wings in front of him. Like,
I know you guys were eating at the weigh-ins, and I'm just sitting there, just like, can I just get the scale already? Because I want to eat. I'm still impressed the fact that I dropped at least 20 pounds and I got just 2 pounds within it. So 157. I thought that was
I gotta applaud you and being in the gym and training and whatnot. I mean, don't put yourself in a position where you're gonna make yourself unhealthy by any means. But I see you're putting in work in the gym. I even heard rumors that you might get in the cage one day.
Yeah. I've been
trying to get as much training as possible. You gonna make your RUF debut next year? I mean,
said what?
That's honestly It's honestly kind of what I'm thinking. My goal, like middle or late next year. It's like, why not? If I get the right training, especially if I get back out there in Phoenix, then hell yeah, and I'll do it right.
You better train up, dude. Y'all represent.
Exactly.
I feel out of place. I need my rough.
But yeah, I mean, you see it cage side, Josh. I mean, like, you got to be nuts to want to get in the cage with some of these dudes. These guys are like bred to, like, you know, like, man, especially at that weight class. Like, who's that? Paul Margitas. That kid's like a stud. Yeah. I wouldn't want to fight him.
Yeah, Devin Ray, he fights at 155, and I wrestle with him, and it's like no match. He just makes easy work of me.
Yeah. No, the rough circuit, man.
I love that kid.
The rough circuit is full of talent, and that's one of the things too. When you show up to a rough event, if you haven't, and you're watching the show, once those lights turn on, man, and from the first fight to the end, it is full of freaking talent, and Arizona's on display every rough event. Beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. We Arizona represent, but I mean, and it even blows our minds on an organizational level. I mean, it's something we expected because of the value that we provide to the fighters and the fight community. It's something we expected. You know, we knew that the top talent was going to want to come and participate in what we're doing. And again, this is with anything. Like I talk and I preach this all the time to people. Like, if you're going to do something, like, do it so well that motherfuckers can't not want to do business with you. You know what I mean? Like
undeniable.
Whether it's a fighter or a sponsor or any of that stuff, like, deliver on your word, be impeccable with your word, deliver on it so well that it would be bad business for them to choose to not do business with you. Whether it's a fighter, the fighters see it. The fighters see people that are coming to RUF and then within 1 or 2 or 3 fights, going out and living their dreams. You know, prime example this weekend. I'm sure you guys saw it. Waldo Acosta Cortez.
That guy was
a boxer here. He came in for the Road to One tournament. We had him slated to win it. You know, we couldn't move the tournament along fast enough and keep him incentivized enough to keep the dogs off of him, so to speak. You know, like, they saw the talent, and the heavyweight division's not very heavy. You know, it's a very slim division, and I'm thankful that they saw the talent in Waldo and they picked him up, and then he went to Bellator, did a fight with Bellator right after us, and he opted out, kind of left us like, oh, come on, you know, like, you could really win this. But he went to Bellator, then he went and took the LFA title, and then he went to the Contender Series, and then he got his contract, and then this weekend he just fought in the UFC. Right there is the reason that fighters have been coming and fighting for RUF for the last 20 years. Kelvin Gastelum, Tracy Cortez, all of these huge names that we see right now that are superstars still in the UFC and on the global stage started right here with RUF.
You know, that's the incredible thing too about RUF is the fact that I see just this single year that I've been working with you guys, all the different talents that are now making it in the major leagues, whether it's One, Bellator, UFC, they're making it. And you saw that they all have the same common connection. They started with RUF.
Right. They started with, or they made their stop onto, you know what I mean? And that's the goal. And somewhere in the last couple of years, that switched for me. Like, it used to be like, oh, I want to be like the UFC, and I want to be like this, and I want to be like that. And it's like, we've realized our niche is not to try to be like these superpower, you know, billion-dollar properties. Our niche is to be the platform that puts these guys in a position to be seen and to get to that next stage. Like, if we set the stage, you know what I mean? And then these guys are fired up, and then they come in and they take full advantage of that opportunity. And that goes back to the action that you're seeing at the shows. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing these guys fight like this is going to be their opportunity, because it very well, if you're one highlight reel away from getting a call from anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it takes. And
what do you think the Road to One meant for you guys in this journey?
The Road to One was huge, man. It was more huge because of the timing and all of that. So, you know, we're all mid-pandemic, right? Like, everybody shut down. The state shuts down boxing and MMA. The state shuts down all kinds of business. The world shuts down. And so then you've got all of these people who've been preparing their entire life, all these fighters, all these gyms, all these camps that have been doing this and working on this stuff. And I mean, that was slated to be one of our biggest years. We had 12 contracts signed, like for properties that we were going to take the show and do these 12 different properties throughout the year. And all of a sudden that disappears. Now that you have the realization of like, well, this could end at any given time. You know what I mean? Like, and then for a fighter, it's like, okay, well, the thought of, oh, I'll do better next time. But then when next time doesn't come and you don't have the opportunity to prove yourself or redeem yourself or whatever the situation is, it all of a sudden becomes real. And it's like, okay, somebody else could take this away. Somebody else could take this opportunity away from me. And so then coming back and getting to that level and knowing that can happen again, they're coming in there and fighting like their life's dependent on it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I might have got off track.
No, that makes 100% sense. Like, I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Sir.
That's honestly, I love that movie. That's such a great example because it's exactly like that. We got hit with times where it kind of put people that compete in combat sports or in MMA in a bind where they can't exactly make it, or at least like get something going in there. And then
no, it made them almost criminals.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden, if you went into a gym and and all over the country with gym owners like, hey, like, you're trying to keep healthy people from being healthy. Like, what the hell? Like, they almost made it criminal to continue to work out and to go to the gym and to train and all of this shit. And there was a lot of professional gyms and professional fighters that just closed the doors and went private and they just trained in their private gym. And I mean, I understood that. It was a battle here in Arizona because, like, this is Arizona. You're going to shut down the gyms. We'll just move it to the street.
Yeah, exactly. We don't care if it's 130 degrees. We'll still do it. Right. And that's the crazy thing, because now it's like the fighters really got a sense of urgency. It's like time is not favorable in this sport, and you got to get your time in now or never. And now that hunger and that drive is really starting to kick up, I think.
You're seeing more and more fighters try to get 3 fights in a year.
The sport is growing so fast. You know what I mean? The sport is huge. Like, RUF is going to be it's a system. It's a AAA league, essentially. Like, the amount of talent that is getting picked up and signed and put on these world stages is more than it ever has been. And it's a matter of, like, again, the time is now. There's never been a better time in history with more opportunities for an MMA athlete, for anybody in this business. And that's why I'm so, even with you guys, like, I can't wait to see what your show is going to be in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's never too late. You know what I mean? Like, but there's good timing has its graces. And I think right now is a great time to be in the sport and in entertainment and things moving forward. And I'm excited about all the opportunities that we're going to be able to provide here in the very near future and everything going forward.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's already been a lot, and you see it every time. I mean, like you said, the caliber of the fights that are pairs, the matches, they're just getting better and better with each one. And you're seeing, like you said, you're seeing whole gyms now, just moving and taking a wave. Like, you got Bridge City. Then we got Baker's MMA out. They've been doing a lot this year as well. There's other gyms as well that are doing it. So it's great to see all these talented, because you got the lab out here as well. There's so many different gyms with so many talented individuals just stuffed in them, and that's what we're seeing with RUF. We're seeing that outlet where they can all come to one ground, meet up, scrap, just showcase their talents, and move on and progress in their career as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, Arizona, you look back and Arizona has always been a hotbed for MMA and combat sports. And boxing. I mean, Arizona's like got a rich boxing history, and these gyms, like, you see, you mentioned the MMA lab, like John Crouch and those guys. Like, you could look back at the very beginning of UFC and you see these guys. You know what I mean? Benson Henderson, he's been in the game forever. I mean, you've got so many huge names and great people that have done things for the sport right here in Arizona. I mean, we've got Henry, we've got Sean, we've got Killer Gorilla. I mean, all of these guys, they come out and they support the show, and that's the dudes that are on the show are the ones that are training them at the top level. So now you've got iron sharpening iron, and the next generation that's coming out has just been getting their asses kicked by the top dudes on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just it's an inevitable thing that like everyone, you know, and the talent's so deep, it's hard for not to have them all be friends, you know, and like because you still got to want them to fight each other, you know, eventually, or you just if your whole talent pool is all friends, then you have no matches, you know.
But it's like that. It's like that at RUF.
And it's hard to not, because especially after you've gone to battle with somebody, like you've now like shed blood and been to war essentially, and now you've got a brotherhood, and you see these guys, sometimes you just gotta smack them on the ass because you don't want them to do that shit before the fight, right? Like you keep mad at each other, and they're like, nah, you guys can hug and take selfies after.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then speaking of MMA Lab,
this community is just so great, man. Like the people are just amazing.
Yeah, and the talent that's coming out. Yeah, and the talent that's coming out of here too. Like you mentioned, Paul Margaritas from the MMA Lab. I think he's gonna be fighting on RUF 51. Is that right?
Ooh, you said it. Yes, Paul Margaritas is on the December 10th card. Like this guy, like if you were at RUF 48, like you experienced the energy, like I mean, it was like a soccer stadium, like ole, 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 ole. And I mean, you know, like that is music to my ears. Paul, his whole team, his brother Dre, like these dudes came out in force and had 300 plus people in the room, you know, where if they started saying ole, ole, you knew it. And I mean, and then he came out and fought an amazing fight. White, but both beasts, and they just, I mean, edge of your seat,
they went through a war.
And it was just, I mean, the technicality and level that these amateurs are fighting at. I mean,
you know, that's one thing about the fighting community that I enjoy too, is the charisma that you get to see on display from the fighters. You know, their walks to the ring. Like you just talked about, how getting the fans involved. You know, who have you over the years? Who's been your favorite? I mean, we've seen Wild Man. Wild Man. His charisma is out of this world. I love being around Wild Man. But who have you just enjoyed their show?
Man, I'll tell you, I've come a whole world, because I used to not be like, especially when I got going, I was not a fan of fighters at all. They were pains in my asses. But it was work. Fighter that I would cheer for or root on, they would lose, and then I feel like it was my problem, like my fault. You know what I mean? Like, damn, I can't root for these guys, because if I like them and I root for them, then they're gonna lose, and then
that bad juju.
I felt like I was jinxing these guys, you know. And so for a while there, I tried to not cheer them on, and like, you know, because I didn't want to be
just purposely not liking people. Like, no.
I mean, but no, I mean, I love the fighter community. I mean, and again, it's hard to say any one specific, because I know that they're all going to be like, but I thought I was your favorite, and it's like, you are, you are. I thought that could be no, but I mean, it's. I mean, like you just saw, I call her Pumpkin, you know, like Zarina Ture. She just a personality, you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of love. Like anytime you run into her or you see her doing anything, like I feel nothing but love. And her family, they come out and they support, and it's amazing. And you know, she's on the right track. She's got a great team behind her. I love all the guys at Legion. I love all that, you know. You got Madrid, and you've got, I mean, it's a family thing, you know what I mean? Like Madrid and Nora and Little Princess, they're all there at the gym, and you got, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I just love the whole community, like, and yeah, I don't want any of them to lose.
But no, you want them all to win in some way.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Chance EK. That kid is a savage. You know, like he comes out, puts on a show. I mean, does amazing things in immaculate shape. Off the top of my head, Zach the Hammer, Zach Stewart. I love that kid. But Joseph Rivas, I hear he might be making a comeback to MMA here shortly soon. He took a little hiatus for boxing. Again, in family, you know what I mean? Like these are people that we got to see grow up in the cage and grow up in the scene and be out and support. And, you know, I love them all. I love them all.
Yeah, that was awesome. I thought it was awesome with Louis Abouchar at RUF 50, how he had done that post-fight speech saying that he not only got to make his amateur debut in RUF, but he also got to make his pro debut in RUF. I thought that was pretty sick.
Right. Yeah, and that guy, I mean, he was young when he first started fighting for us, and he was tall, and he was not near as like ripped as he is now. But you know, you see 6'3", 6'4", little skinny, scrawny kid, and he would just anaconda dudes up. And like, I mean, we tried to keep him as busy as we could early on as an amateur too. And I mean, that guy, he's a champion. He is a savage bull. Like, he's got a heart of a champion. He's got a good background. You know, he puts good out into the world. And I mean, like this, he's an amazing kid. And that's the thing, is like, this isn't just creating good athletes. It's creating good people. You know what I mean? Like, and giving good people the opportunity to come out. And I mean, I hope I get Loai to come back. But that's the thing, is I think he's too good. He's going to go. I mean, he's already got the attention. That came out and that went, and that went on fire. Like that was the fastest video we ever got out. I think before the end of the next round, we had Loai's fight on the internet for all to see, because that's what we want to do. We want people to see, and we want them to get that call to go on to bigger opportunities. And I couldn't be more thankful. And I can't wait to like share Loai's speech with everybody, because that's exactly put into words how we feel. Like, he got to debut with us, you know, and it's been a blessing the whole time. And then like he went away. It was hard, you know, well, COVID, all that shit happened. And then he comes back, this finely tuned machine, and he's ready to go. He's a hard guy to match up, his height and all that stuff, you know, like it's scary. Like, so to see him get that opportunity to be able to come out here and do that, and then get an impressive win like that against another debut guy out of California. I mean, another great gym. Like, that's exactly what we do this for. And his speech, like, I didn't see it till Monday, Tuesday after the fight, and I replayed that probably like 4 or 5 times. Like, I get emotional, you know, and I get emotional after all of this. Like, a couple days after, and like all the adrenaline comes down and all that, and like, I mean, that had me choked up, and I was like, you know what, this is exactly why we do this. You know what I mean? And I thank him for all the love, and you know what, there's going to be generations of fighters that see him saying that, and then see where he's going to be in this sport, and fighters are going to continue to trust us with that opportunity to put them in that position.
Yeah. So would you say that's an especially big motivator for you, is the fact that not only do you get to be tied to these fighters' stories and their legacy, but also be a stepping stone for them to reach that level of greatness?
That used to be the most insulting thought I could think of, to be a stepping stone, right? Think of that. Like, that means somebody's going to step. But then if you look at like the real qualities of being a leader in anything, in business, in sports, in any of that shit, like, you want to be the rock that everyone else can step upon your back to get to where they want to be. And after a lot of self-work on my, you know, and a lot of things over the years, I've come from that stepping stone word being a negative connotation to, yes, absolutely, I want to be the path. I want to be the path I want RUF to be that organization. And that's something far bigger than an egotistical thing of like worrying about whether you're called a stepping stone. Like, absolutely, I can't wait to be the stepping stone for the next 30 years of world superstars.
To be like that underlying foundation that helps build that greatness.
I mean, there's enough fighters now. The sport's gotten big enough to where you have to have a farm system.
It's going to continue. There's organizations like Gamma, Justin Brown. He's the head of Gamma. And he's actually the one that brought the whole one championship conversation to life. Like this guy, he's asking around. We'd never met Justin. I still haven't even met him in person. I can't wait to. But he had been asking around. People are asking, who does good business in this? Like, who could like you partner up with and create something big and long lasting? And Justin brought RUF up to the one organization. You know what I mean? Like he's over here creating athletes and future champions all the way from I think they start maybe 8 years old, right? So that's something we haven't got into in Arizona yet because we haven't quite figured out all the rules and regulations and all that for amateur MMA. But what you're going to see is just like Little League football, Little League basketball, Little League baseball, golf team, tennis, blah, blah, blah. MMA is an option. You know what I mean? Like they got MMA at ASU right now. Yeah. You Google it. It's ASU MMA. You know, like it's something that you're going to see in all levels of sports in the future. And Arizona's eventually going to get to that point where we're able to have a amateur young, like a youth MMA organization. And there's, a lot more safety and all those things that have come into place with the advancement of technology and knowing what causes concussions and all of that things, the things we worry about. We don't want our kids to go out there and get kicked in the head. And then, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants that, but do we want them to be able to train and hone their craft from a very young age? Absolutely. And for now in Arizona, that's jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and those types of things. But again, the future.
No, and the sport's moving fast. I mean, we came from, UFC 1 and Pride and, those things. And now look what UFC is. You got your Bellator. You got One, Brave. I mean, it's just so many. You have to have a farm system now. It has to.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, and there's no shame in being that farm, that feeder system. And we've done the same thing as a farm team where got fighters that have been in the UFC and then they're no longer in the UFC, but they want to get back to the UFC. Then they come, get a highlight reel, boom, 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 and let's go back. And whether it's UFC or Bellator or whatnot, like being able to keep these guys' dreams alive and giving them a place here in Arizona has been an amazing thing. And now we've got this partnership with the Celebrity Theater, and we have a home. Like this is not many MMA, not any that I could think of other than like the Apex have a home field. You know what I mean? Where this is an arena, and we'll be back to doing shows at our native casinos and stuff this coming year. I guarantee it. But this is home field now. You know what I mean? And the love and the support that we have, and the celebrity sees the vision of what this is going to be. You know what I mean? And combat sports is again, it's huge in Arizona. And now it's just a matter of how do we get people to realize that, how do we get everybody to come out and support this farm team system now that we've got home and we've got the system down, we put on a hell of a show, and we're going to be continuing to do this. Like we want to share this with more people. We want more people to see this and come out and support these local fighters before they get to that next level.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you guys really fit that niche very well because of the opportunities you're now presenting to all these different fighters, like you just said, that were in the UFC but coming back down and trying to get that highlight to come back up. And then all the upcoming fighters, like I could probably guarantee, like you see Abdul Kamara, who fought on, I think he was like RUF 47, and then he fought on the Jorge Masvidal card. I guarantee we're going to see a lot of future champions come up through RUF. And I feel like you guys really hit the nail in the coffin on that in this industry.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. And yeah, we love Abdul Kamara, and he's got a great story. You know what I mean? That's why he moved to Phoenix, was to train with the MMA lab. And that dude really is following his dreams. And like, this is his passion and what he's built for. Like he's done a couple fights at RUF, and like he doesn't have as many people show up for him here in Phoenix yet. You know what I mean? Like we're going to continue to grow his fan base and grow his popularity here because one, he's an amazing dude. Like he's a great guy, a family guy. He has a whole lot of character, shows up like an immaculate professional every single time. And, he's put on a great show. And, to see him go on to Jorge, and you know what? People over there are going to be talking about RUF because he's going to share that experience in that locker room. You know, he's going to share that experience backstage before the show. He's going to talk about that. And, you know, the people that see him in any other promotion are going to be able to go back and look at him in RUF and say, like, wow, you know, like that kid, he started there and he put on a great show, and now look where he's at.
Right.
There's I can't, and it's amazing that I can't list them all, but there are so many stories, and there continue to be so many stories just like that.
Right. So before we wind out of here, we got about 10 minutes left or so.
I got about 5.
Okay,
I got about 5.
Five words.
You guys can keep going, and I know you will, but I got about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to have to let these people in this door, and they're going to be mad.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you're good, man.
No, but
Johnny Depp's out there playing live right now, and I locked myself in Heidi's office. So here at the Celebrity Theater.
Any jewels to drop for RUF 51? Any matches that we know of right now?
I'll tell you, this kid Marco Cerna has come out of nowhere, right? Like we dropped the logo on social media, like, just, you know, hey, 51's coming. No, it is. And somewhere he called up his people and just was like, hey, go to that RUF page, and on the logo they just dropped, tag me. All of a sudden 300 people are tagging Marco Cerna on his page. So naturally I'm ecstatic. And you know, he's on top of it. That was the first. We've already got that match signed. It's going to be Marco Cerna and Kyle. Kyle, don't shoot me. I'll get your name right, but Kyle Neal, I think. I'll correct it later, but sorry, Kyle. That is I'm already super excited about that, because anytime that anybody can just like make some noise and have 300 people show up is an amazing thing. Again, Paul Margides, I can't say enough about that. Like, that kid is a future superstar, hands down. And those two guys on the same card is going to be an amazing thing. Josh, who is Paul fighting? You know,
Nice.
Only the second contracts I've sent out.
Wait for that one.
Oh, we haven't even told you guys yet. So I don't have a whole lot of nuggets that I can necessarily share. The one I mentioned, he already signed, and everything's good to go on that. But I can tell you, it is going to definitely be the best card of the year, and it is going to be a hell of a party. We're going to switch things up a little bit. You're going to see a little bit of a different format here at the Celebrity Theater than the way that we've staged it. Because again, this is all in motion. We're not, you know, we're not going off of anything that says this is what works best. Like, we're going to keep messing with things and keep trying out new things until it really works. We have some amazing new partnerships. I can't wait to mention. I won't, but you guys are going to lose your minds. There's just so much in store. December is definitely going to just be our cap off to the end of the year. And right now we're looking at 2023 and beyond. I've got 8 dates booked already here at the Celebrity Theater for next year. They're already in with the commission. They're penciled in on the calendar. So we're looking a dozen shows in the next 12 months. But again, December is just going to kick off the best year, in my opinion, that we've had with RUF MMA, and a year of an amazing partnerships with all the new sponsors coming on board, and with our partnership here at the Celebrity Theater. Again, the fight card, Jason, I can't give that guy enough credit. I missed that cue a minute ago, but Jason Martinez is the best fucking matchmaker in this entire sport. Quote that.
Make a reel
the
from
dude
it.
is insane.
Right.
And it, like, to see, especially now that he's able to have more fun with this, right? Like, if it's too much of a job, like, that, it starts to take away from the product you put out, right? Like, Jason, I feel, is in a position now where he's just having a blast doing this. And that shows through the matchups and the quality of matchups. There's no shit that you see in going on in other places. Like, these, I have to tell him sometimes, like, dude, don't put all the killers against each other on the same card, because then, like, we got, like, 10 more shows, like, we don't want them. And it just ends up being just the most amazing thing. Jason is a master at his craft, and that's only going to get better. The more resources I can build, and the more support I can build around him, like that, the matchups are just going to continue to be insane. And again, the experience that we provide for the fighters, and what they, what they walk away with at the end of the day, and they're just ecstatic. So they go back and they tell their teams about it, and they tell their friends about it, and then we get 30 more fighters that want to come and be a part of it, and that's just going to continue to grow. So you're going to see a lot on the pro card side. I think you're going to see a lot of your favorite Arizona pros on here. We're just finishing locking down a few of those before I make some announcements, but they are going to be absolute excitement, hands down, no doubt. The amateur card always is. Again, these dudes come out and they perform like professionals and they put on an amazing show. So I hear we got some Bridge City. I heard some Bridge City rumors on in there. I don't doubt that we won't have at least one or two of those badasses from Havasu City on that card. Man. It's Jason's birthday that week. It's my birthday that week. I think I almost have celebrity convinced to I think we're going to just do the after party right here. We're going to do the show and the party all in the same place at the same time. Like nobody has to go anywhere. So then I can't get too busy and not make it there. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We kept saying, where's CJ at? Where's CJ?
Oh, I was still taking down the cage, if you were wondering.
It left you alone.
I set up the cage and I took down the cage while you guys were partying. So you're welcome.
Shit.
But yeah, I didn't get out of here. Got to give a shout out to my right hand man, Jeff. Jeff has never touched the cage or done any of that. He gets here when it's pretty. He goes back home before it gets all tore down. Jeff was over here humping fucking steel and tearing down cage and loading up trucks with me too, man. So again, I have an amazing team surrounding me, amazing leadership that built what was before me, and it's all a blessing, man. The sponsors, the amazing family we've created, the people that are involved, our home here at the Celebrity Theater. I just can't say enough, man. But I do have to get back to it, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time.
We appreciate thank you, man.
Me up. I don't know. All right, guys.
Maybe December we'll do a live show there, and we'll do a
fantastic. We'll set it up. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
You guys keep doing your thing. Thank you so much. And again, I'm excited to see what your show is going to continue to be in the future. And much love, much success, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Take care, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. No, that was fun.
Yeah, we got another great one in the books, and I got a more pretty camera too.
Right. Moving on up. Like the
hella. I know this one's so much better. Like I can actually make out what I look like.
You said I'm here. I'm over here.
Like, Mama, I'm here.
Yeah, no, that was a really good interview. Another amazing show. I mean, it was good to hear, his take of how he ended up getting involved. What it was for him, where it started at, and where it is today, and take that kind of that journey. Because man, RUF has so much freaking talent. I say it time and time again, but every show there's a new one or two people that just amaze me.
Yeah, that's why when I heard the news about Paul Margita is going to be competing on the December card, like, okay, that's what's up, because he had that war. Like we talked about his fight too, between him and Deshaun White, and like with the split decision, we were kind of like debating on like how that fight turned out. So I'm especially excited for this
fight
one.
Either way too.
Yeah, it was an absolutely phenomenal fight.
I've yet to be like, well, that was a bummer. You know what I mean? Like I've yet to see a fight where I'm just like disappointed in the outcome or the match or any of it. Like you said, even the amateurs, they come in, they step in that cage, and they perform like pros. From the preparation all the way to the ending, and the sportsmanship after the fight, even.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like the conversation that we keep on having with people, they're saying that's like the gap between the amateurs and the pros, that's thinning out. It's thinning out because all the fighters, they're taking it just as seriously. And now you're having like jiu-jitsu schools popping up. You're having all kinds of boxing, kickboxing academies opening up across the nation, across the world. And like CJ was saying too, I don't think there's any other sport in this world that is making waves like combat sports, like MMA.
No, and not like you said, MMA, because it's not just combat sports. I mean, boxing was the mecca. It was one of the
Mhm.
mecca sports for the longest time, and we seen a shift over the last 10 years where almost at one point, a few years back, boxing was almost extinct to compared to what it used to be.
Mhm.
Luckily, you had your Canelo. You have a couple of these other guys that jumped in and kind of carried the wave for a little bit. You had a couple of Floyd fights here and there, but
Mhm.
now I think people don't give Deontay Wilder any credit either. I think that he helped save the sport over the last couple years. That's another big ticket guy. So Thurman's. There's a couple other guys out there, but it really wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't doing what it used to do.
Mhm.
And MMA, UFC in particular, really changed things and really kicked those doors down. And you know, MMA is growing rapidly around the world. Not even just here. It's
Mhm.
making connections. It's a worldwide sport. It's going to turn into the next soccer.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And that's why I honestly don't mind doing this weight cut because the biggest aspect of MMA that I've always loved and that I grew up just absolutely loving about it is the principle of discipline, dedication, and the hard work. Because if you
Right.
think about it, with all these different disciplines that's existed for thousands of years,
Right.
like karate, Muay Thai, stuff like that. The way that these people would train was insane. They would literally be in a crouching position for 6 to 8 hours a day, holding jars full of sand just to strengthen their grip. The type of training that they went through was absolutely insane, and the way that they were able to push themselves. And now, like for a while in modern times, you saw like the concept of MMA kind of like being kind of stagnant because of modern technology, and fighting wasn't the same as back then with these disciplines. But now in this day and age, you're seeing the passion and the quality of it kind of come back alive.
Right. Right. Yeah, and eh, you know, one thing that rings true to me, and why I enjoy the sport so much, especially more now, is the community side of it. How many of
Hmm.
these guys do we even talk to or we interview, and they're coaching other guys, other adults and kids. And when you go to a gym and and you kind of take it all in, um, these guys aren't just at the gym, for their 3 hours of training or their two hours of training plus their sparring. They're at the gym for that amount of time that as they're taking care of themselves, but they're also like we've talked about, they're also coaching afterwards for another 2 hours.
Hmm.
And they're also teaching someone, which I think is a huge portion of not just MMA, but athletes in general over the last few years is the food. So many athletes now are attacking and supporting their body through their diet now,
Hmm.
more than anything as well. And we're seeing it, like you said, we're seeing it because you know you don't just step into a ring, into an octagon. You don't just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go fight." It's not. You're not. This is not boxing. You're not just about put on the gloves and
Hmm.
put on a protective headgear and go into there and you know get your face knocked around a little bit. Uh, you get your ass in that octagon, you're liable to get hurt.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
You want to
mean?
get choked out, a leg lock, a Kimura, you get
Arm broke.
slammed.
You know, like we seen in at Rough 50, fucking kick to the head and sliding down a cage and get a fucking straight to your face.
Hmm.
Um, and take 15 minutes to wake up
Yeah,
and,
like with
and,
Lawi
and leave on a
Aboushar
stretcher.
versus Chris Fluke. Yeah,
Right.
Chris Fluke, he almost left on a stretcher because like the shots he was taking. Yeah, there's a reason
Oh,
why you have to have training to step into this sport.
what was that fight? Like a minute? Minute and a
It
half?
got into I think
Like,
minute. Yeah, it was in the first round, remember
and
correctly, and he just caught him against the cage and dropped him. Broke his nose. His nose was a V. Fucking
and
it
and,
was
and
gnarly.
you know, no disrespect to Chris, and respectfully, he got his fucking ass whooped in a minute. A minute.
Yeah.
So,
Abu Shar made quick work.
and I again, no disrespect to Chris whatsoever. Um, but my point about that is a fucking minute. You stepped in that ring. This is a guy that has training. This is a guy that knows what he's doing and knows what to look for, and has his own game plan and his own strategy when he steps in that cage that he's trying to implement on his opponent. And 60 seconds, 100 seconds, 120 seconds into the fight, he's asleep up against the cage, and there's silence throughout the crowd, and we're worried about his well-being at that
Yeah, they
point. So,
brought in the stretcher because they thought they were gonna have to take him out in it. Luckily, they
right.
didn't. He finally came to, but blood was just pouring out, and he was just as stiff as a board. One arm was locked on the cage, the other one was just
Stuck
full on
out.
stiff board. It was a brutal knockout, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, that's why you say, even as a fucking amateur, excuse my French, but even as a fucking amateur, you don't step into that cage if you're not ready for
Mhm.
it. And to your point, s- you, the the amateurs are realizing that, and they're taking it serious. They're fucking taking it serious. And you know, what is the major difference right now between a pro and an amateur to you? 'Cause it's changed over the years.
I'd say
That's
the experience and the understanding of once you turn pro, you don't get a restart. Because with amateur, the mentality going into amateur is that doesn't matter how many losses you get or how many wins, it's everything's experience. And you don't want to become a pro and then you go on this long losing streak and you can't take that back because the fighting industry, it's a kill or be killed industry at the end of the day, and one slip up can just cost you your whole career. So I
Mhm.
think that is the especially big factor.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with it being such a very family orientated community. Uh,
Hmm.
that there's two sides of the sport. There's the win and loss, and where you're headed and your records and all that good stuff. And then there's the, hey bro, you've got kicked in your fucking head for 4 straight fights and you've been knocked out 3 of those. You can't
Hmm.
fight no more. And I think that definitely a part of it that you do see in the pros is once you click that pro button, you, like you said, your wins and losses matter, and
Hmm.
the fashion of your losses as well.
Exactly, because like you don't like if Tyron Woodley, if his losing streak with just everything right now, if that was during his amateur career, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But the fact that he's pro now, he's a former champion, the
Mhm.
impact of those losses are even greater. And you can't,
Yeah.
there is no fresh start. Even if you switch over to boxing, it carries over.
Right. I mean, with CTE and uh, the amount of growth we've had in that area of learning about that disease, learning about that what it comes from and how it's developed over time. There's no room for it no more.
Hmm.
Tyron Woodley getting his ass whipped like that. There's too many other factors, um, and I appreciate the community for that because they're protecting their own people in
Hmm.
reality.
Yeah, that's my mentality with Nate Diaz. As much as I love to see him fight more and more and more, the amount of damage that he's taken, I'd rather see him live a long, healthy life and be active, like behind the scenes,
Yeah,
versus just in there killing himself. And we're just encouraging it because we want to see the blood.
right. You know, that's actually a good fighter to bring up because even in his wins, he's getting fucked up. Even in Nate Diaz's, some of his best wins have been wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's won, he gets his hand raised, but he's going to the hospital too.
Yeah, like with the first fight with Conor McGregor, covered in blood,
Fuck, yeah, fucked up.
covered in blood, bro.
And
It
he's
was
been,
bad.
and Nate is a warrior. So, you know, and he's not really a knockout artist, so to speak.
Mhm.
Like he'll beat you into a knockout, or he'll beat you where they got to stop the fight, or he'll do some stuff like that. But the reason why I bring that up is because he's taking just as much damage for just the same amount of time.
Yeah, and it wears on you. It wears on you. This is a young man's sport. And like to tie in with what we were talking about with CJ before with the pandemic, the longer you wait, the more time that you lose to be a part of this, to be a part of the combat sport industry, to make your name and everything. Because like with Muhammad Ali, for example, prime, prime, and then Vietnam War fiasco happened, and it was those years that he got held out that he just kind of that's when he left his prime, and it kind of went from there, and you saw everything changed.
Mhm. I mean, even Mike Tyson, um, you know, the latter part of his career, you know, he couldn't like shit the Holyfield shit. He was so frustrated by the time that they had got to the Holyfield fight, and he was already he was losing his step. He wasn't as fast. He in we say that respect. I say that respectfully because Tyson was one of the fastest,
Mm-hmm.
powerful, and the quickest motherfuckers out there at one point in time. And that
Mm-hmm.
little bitty step that he lost was enough to it was enough for him.
Yeah.
It was just enough for him. I mean, it all happens to the best, and like you said, I mean, fighting is one of those sports like it's like football. You're either with it when you're in it or you're not. Because once you
Yeah.
lose a step or nothing, you can for one you're gonna get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and two you're just not gonna do performance. Too
Yeah.
physically demanding of a sport.
Exactly. And that's why if I wasn't so passionate about MMA, I wouldn't have even suggested the idea of me stepping in the cage to begin with. I don't like violence. I've never been one for violence. I grew up around it, not want anything with it. But for some reason with the sport of MMA, I can't get enough. And that's why too, it's like with where we were just talking about, I'm not gonna just straight up jumping into this without any like proper training or experience or a team to end up just going in there and getting my lights clocked to fucking end up taking something that I won't be able to come back from. That's why I want to put in that training. But that's why, yeah, I know I'm 26. 26 is pretty old to get into this stuff, to get into this whole sport. That's why I want to get at least a good substantial amount of training before I step into it. But
I
it's a
mean, not
young man's
really. I mean, it's a young man sport. It is a physically demanding young man sport in that sense.
Mhm.
But but we've seen some very successful fighters at a later age.
Yoel Romero, for example,
Yes, Randy
Glover
Couture.
Teixeira.
Yeah, Randy Couture. Um, shit, Silva. If we really want to calculate Silva really got into the swing in the UFC thing later on in his career.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
True.
Um, there's a lot of them. I mean, especially I think more then than now. 'Cause right now we're seeing a lot of younger guys coming up. We're seeing a lot of like babies being birthed into the sport, so to speak. Um, which
Yeah.
is really good to see.
That'd be my disadvantage, though, because that means I'd be competing against guys who had been training since they were like 12 and all this stuff, and hear me at 26, like, oh yeah, here we go.
Well, didn't Brian Benavides? He said he started at like 5. He started wrestling like 5, and he
Yeah,
started
he was about 4 or 5
BJJ at
years old.
8. He said,
Yeah.
yeah, like
So he's been doing it for. He's only 21. He's already been doing it for about
14
17 years.
Yeah, 17. There goes my math. Don't ask me to get the change.
Yeah,
No.
but it's crazy though. It's crazy. That's why it's nothing but respect for these guys that step into the cage, because you have to be insane. You have to be a certified crazy psychopathic badass to be able to willingly step in that cage, put your health on the line, accept the fact that you could potentially die in that cage, but it's
Right.
that glory of dying as a warrior.
Troy, huh?
Exactly. Exactly.
This is Sparta. For real. No, but no, this was one of my favorite episodes. Just we talked fighting, but we didn't talk fighting. We talked just the backgrounds and
Mhm.
love and the community and the reason why I do this show myself. And like just off of this, I mean, me and you developed a great relationship over the last few months, and it was solely built and introduced to us by fighting.
Mhm.
RUF, so it brings the community together in different ways, does different things. I mean, I just love the sport. It's not like the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball. Even though they have same family orientation.
Yeah, but
Well,
MMA is a lot more personal, I would say.
right. You get, like you said, more personable, and the family orientated portion of it is personable as well.
Mhm.
You get that one-on-one interaction with the fighters when you can. You get, you see the passion of their family. That's one of the doper parts too, is how many times I've seen these fighters come out the cage and go straight to their mom or go straight to their dad, and you know what I mean, kiss, love, give hug, give love, and then move on to their fans.
Mhm.
And to me, that you don't see that in any other sport like that. You don't see Devin Booker walk off the court and go kiss his mom and dad after he hits a 3.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't happen like that. So those type of things in the cage, and like we've rang out numerous times, is on this episode even the respect after getting your ass whooped or whooping the ass.
Mhm.
So
This sport is all about respect. You gotta have respect, not just respect for the craft, but respect for your opponents. Like there's the shit talking and all that stuff at the end of the day, but still, when you step into that ring, it's an absolute war, and you're both are accepting you're going to a modern day gladiator match and hope
right,
one of you come out the victor. So it's that 50-50 risk on both ends that just demands that respect.
right. Or if you're not the victor, just come out not fucked off. Out the hospital.
With your head held up.
Right.
And
So
conscious.
December 10th, man. December 10th. That's
Mhm.
RUF 51. So we got exactly a month to prepare. Um, as the card comes out, we will be booking more fighters
Mhm.
here and throwing hands. And stay tuned too. I mean, hopefully December 10th would be our first live free fight show.
That'd be dope. That would be fucking awesome. And you heard it, even CJ, he seemed interested. So hell, let's make it happen.
Let's make it fucking happen, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing a live show. Me and you've been trying to do a live show together for what is this, 3 months now, like 3 roughs. So hopefully this rough works, man. Hopefully this freaking rough works.
Yeah, we'll end the year with a bang. We have to. At this point now, with we got more things established and kind of understood and laid out. I feel like we can end this year in a bang.
Yeah. Well, I think we might have to bring on Cutman next week or something. Maybe we bring Cutman on.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
His RUF 50 experience and all that good stuff. We have to reach out to him. But other than that, man, I don't want to get off this episode for some reason. I'm really enjoying this episode. I think we got to.
Yeah. I'm just gonna head straight to the gym after this, get my workout clothes. Then I'm gonna do minimum 5 miles on the bike, and I'm gonna do the sauna too. I gotta get this Halloween weight back off.
Halloween weight?
Yeah.
Like candy and shit.
Yeah, bro. I'm a sucker for Reese's. It's so hard to resist. It's so hard to resist.
All right, man. Well, look, another episode in the books. I enjoyed this one. Check us out next week, same time, same place, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Throwing hands. Check out Josh Said What. And keep it tuned. Keep it locked on ASAP Sports. Got a lot of stuff coming out. So you'll see us. But until next time.
Deuces, people.
Yes, sir.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball, I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They gon' knock him, tell him fess up, I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless, yeah, I got next up, right, now we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride, you do better keeping it quiet, my pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened, I like who I am, but I'm biased, they palette is right, and my drip is a fountain, I'm not like these regular guys, all